Hello, friend. Welcome back to Radiant Rise. In the last episode, I went deeper into my experience with endometriosis and talked about how it has affected far more than one part of my body or one chapter of my life. Today, I want to have another conversation that is deeply personal to me. We are talking about fibromyalgia, not the simplified version, not the version where someone says, "So you're tired a lot," or "Your muscles hurt sometimes." I want to talk about what it can actually feel like to live in a body that seems to remain on high alert. Because fibromyalgia is more than being tired. It is more than ordinary soreness. It is more than needing an extra night of sleep. For me, it is pain, fatigue, brain fog, disrupted sleep, sensitivity, emotional exhaustion, unpredictability, and the constant effort of trying to function in a body that does not always respond the way I need it to. Before I continue, I want to remind everyone that fibromyalgia can affect each person differently. I am sharing my own experience. This is not medical advice. This is my truth. Fibromyalgia can be difficult to describe because the pain does not always remain in one place. One day, my back may hurt the most. Another day, it may be my neck, shoulders, hips, legs, arms, or several areas at once. Sometimes it feels like a deep ache. Sometimes it feels like burning. Sometimes it feels like pressure. Sometimes it feels as though my muscles have been overworked even when I have not done anything physically demanding. There are days when my skin feels unusually sensitive, days when clothing feels uncomfortable, days when being touched in the wrong place can hurt far more than it should. And there are times when my body feels heavy, almost as though gravity has been turned up. It is not one simple pain. It is a collection of sensations that can change throughout the day. That unpredictability is one of the hardest parts. You can wake up not knowing which version of your body you're going to have. One of the most misunderstood symptoms is fatigue. People hear the word tired and they think about a long day, a late night, a busy week. But fibromyalgia fatigue can feel completely different. It can feel like your body has no reserve, like the battery never fully charged even after hours of sleep. You wake up tired. You move through the day tired. You rest and still feel tired. Sometimes the exhaustion is so deep that even small tasks feel enormous. Taking a shower, getting dressed, preparing food, driving, holding a conversation, making a decision, answering a message. These things may look simple from the outside, but when your body is depleted, they require effort people cannot see. There are days when I want to do more. My mind has plans. My responsibilities are waiting. My heart wants to participate in life, but my body feels as though it has reached the end of the day before the day has even begun. That is not laziness. That is not a lack of motivation. That is illness. Fibromyalgia can also affect sleep in a cruel way. You can spend hours in bed and still wake up feeling as though you barely rested. Pain can make it hard to fall asleep. It can make it difficult to stay asleep. You shift positions, trying to find one that does not hurt. Your muscles remain tense. Your mind stays active. And even when you do sleep, it may not feel restorative. Then the next day begins with the consequences of both pain and poor sleep. The pain makes sleep harder. The lack of sleep makes the pain feel worse. The fatigue makes daily responsibilities harder. The stress of falling behind makes it harder to relax. It becomes a cycle. And breaking that cycle is not as simple as someone saying, "You just need to sleep more." Sometimes the problem is not the number of hours, it is that your body does not seem to receive the rest it needs from them. Then there is the brain fog. Fibro fog can be embarrassing and frustrating. You know what you want to say, but the word disappears. You walk into a room and forget why you went there. You lose your train of thought in the middle of a sentence. You read something several times and still struggle to absorb it. You forget names, appointments, instructions, or things you normally remember. You may feel slower than usual, not because you are unintelligent, not because you're not paying attention, but because your brain feels overloaded and exhausted. For me, brain fog can affect work, conversations, writing, decision making, and my confidence. When you're used to being capable and organized, cognitive symptoms can make you question yourself. You wonder, why can't I think clearly? Why am I forgetting this? Why is something so simple taking me so long? And sometimes the embarrassment makes you want to hide the symptom completely. But fibrofog is real. It is not carelessness. It is not a character flaw. One of the hardest things about fibromyalgia is that people often see what you accomplish, but they do not see what it costs. They see that you went to work. They do not see how much energy it took to get dressed and leave the house. They see that you attended an event. They do not see the hours of recovery afterward. They see that you cooked dinner. They do not see how long you had to sit down afterwards because your back and legs were hurting. They see the finished task. They do not see the calculations behind it. Can I stand long enough? Would this leave me with energy for tomorrow? Should I do this now or save my strength? What can I cancel if this causes a flare? Living with fibromyalgia can mean constantly budgeting energy. You learn that saying yes to one thing may require saying no to something else. And sometimes even careful planning is not enough. A flare can arrive anyway. You may have heard people with chronic illness say, I don't have enough spoons today. If you have never heard that phrase before, it can sound confusing. Spoon theory is a simple way of explaining limited energy. Imagine that every morning you wake up with a small number of spoons in your hand. Each spoon represents a portion of the physical, mental, or emotional energy you have available for that day. Every activity costs a spoon. Getting out of bed may cost one. Taking a shower may cost two. Getting dressed may cost another. Driving to work may cost one. Working an entire shift may cost most of what is left. By the time you get home, you may have no spoons remaining for cooking, cleaning, answering messages, or spending time with the people you love. For someone with chronic illness, energy may feel more like a rechargeable battery because they use energy, rest for a little while, and can often regain enough to continue. With fibromyalgia, it may feel like being given a limited number of coins at the beginning of the day. Once they are spent, you cannot simply create more, and the number can change every day. One morning, you may wake up with 8 spoons. The next morning, after poor sleep or during a flare, you may wake up with 3. That is why the same task can be manageable one day and overwhelming the next. It is not inconsistency. It is not laziness. It is not a lack of effort. It is a change in the amount of energy available. It is also important to understand that one visible task may contain several smaller tasks. A shower is not only a shower. It may include walking to the bathroom, standing, washing your hair, lifting your arms, drying off, getting dressed, and recovering afterwards. Going to the grocery store is not only shopping. It includes getting ready, driving, walking through the store, making decisions, standing in line, carrying bags, driving home, putting everything away, and possibly needing to rest afterwards. Each part can use energy. That is why someone may say no to something that appears small. They are not only considering the activity itself, they are considering everything the activity requires before, during, and afterwards. Sometimes people with chronic illness also talk about borrowing spoons from tomorrow. That means pushing through today by using energy the body does not truly have available. You may do it because you need to work, attend an appointment, care for your family, handle an emergency, or keep a responsibility that cannot simply disappear. But the cost may appear later. The next day, the pain may be worse. The fatigue may be heavier. The brain fog may become stronger. You may need an entire day or longer to recover. So when someone says, I don't have enough spoons, they are not saying they don't care. They are not saying they do not want to participate. They are saying their body has reached its limits. Spoon theory gives people with chronic illness a way to describe something that is otherwise very difficult to see. Energy is not only limited, it is unpredictable, and every choice has a cost. For me, living with fibromyalgia means constantly deciding where my spoons need to go. Work may take most of them. A doctor's appointment may take the rest. Recording a podcast may bring me joy, but I need to lie down afterward. The activity can be meaningful, it can be worth doing, and it can still have a physical cost. That is the part people often do not see, and that is why protecting your energy is not laziness. It is not selfishness. It is a necessary part of living with a body that cannot always replenish energy the way other people expect. Sometimes strength is not finding more spoons. Sometimes strength is accepting the number you have and choosing how to use them without guilt. A fibromyalgia flare can make everything feel louder: the pain, the fatigue, the brain fog, the sensitivity, the emotional exhaustion. A task you managed yesterday may feel impossible today. Sometimes there is a clear trigger: stress, poor sleep, physical overexertion, illness, weather changes, emotional strain. Other times, the flare seems to arrive without permission or explanation. That can make planning life extremely difficult. You may commit to something while feeling relatively stable and then wake up the next day of it unable to function at the same level. People may see cancellation as inconsistency, but when you live with an unpredictable illness, you are often making plans based on hope. You hope your body will cooperate. You hope your energy will last. You hope the pain will remain manageable. Sometimes it does, sometimes it does not. Working while living with fibromyalgia creates its own kind of pressure. There is the physical demand of getting ready, commuting, sitting, standing, concentrating, and remaining engaged throughout the day. There is also the emotional pressure of appearing dependable. You may worry that people will see you as weak, unreliable, distracted, slow, or difficult. So you push, you smile, you answer the phone, you help people, you continue working while your body is asking for what rest. Sometimes others do not realize how much effort it takes because you have become skilled at hiding it. But masking pain does not mean the pain is mild. Being productive does not mean you are well. Sometimes it means you are using every bit of strength you have to meet your responsibilities because you do not feel that you have another choice. Rest is also complicated with fibromyalgia. Sometimes you rest because you are trying to prevent a flare. Sometimes you rest because a flare has already arrived. Sometimes you rest and feel guilty because there is so much left to be done. And sometimes you rest but still do not feel recovered. That can make you feel trapped. You are doing what your body is asking, but your body is not giving you the result you hope for. This is one of the reasons people with chronic illness can become frustrated when others say, just take it easy. Taking it easy may help, but it does not always make the symptoms disappear. Rest can be easy without being a cure. Fibromyalgia can also come with sensitivity. Noise may feel overwhelming. Bright lights may make symptoms worse. Strong smells may become difficult to tolerate. Crowded spaces may feel exhausting. Temperature changes can affect how the body feels. When you already live with pain and fatigue, extra sensory input can become one more thing your nervous system has to process. Sometimes I need quiet. Sometimes I need lowering lighting. Sometimes I need to step away. That does not mean I'm antisocial. It does not mean I do not care. It means my body and nervous system may already be managing more than other people can see. One of the most difficult parts of my health journey is that fibromyalgia does not exist alone. I also live with endometriosis, chronic pelvic pain, gastrointestinal conditions, mental health diagnosis, and other medical challenges. Symptoms overlap. Fatigue can come from several places. Pain can have more than one source. Brain fog may be affected by illness, poor sleep, stress, medication, or all of them together. That can make it difficult to know what needs attention first. It can also make medical appointments complicated. You may describe several symptoms and be told that each one belongs to a different specialist. One doctor handles stomach, another handles pelvis, another handles chronic pain, another handles mental health, but I'm still one person living inside one body. My body does not separate itself into departments. Everything affects everything else. Medication can be another complicated part of living with fibromyalgia. You hope to find something that reduces the pain, something that helps you sleep, something that allows you to function more comfortably, but treatment can involve trial and error. A medication may help one symptom while creating another. It may reduce pain but leave you groggy. It may help you sleep but make it difficult to function the next day. It may affect your balance, concentration, mood, or energy. I have experienced medication side effects that were serious and frightening. That has made me more aware of how carefully I need to monitor changes in both my body and my mental health. It has also reminded me that when a patient says a medication is affecting them badly, that concern needs to be taken seriously. Treatment is not successful simply because one symptom improves. Quality of life matters. Safety matters. Mental health matters. The whole person matters. Fibromyalgia carries grief, grief for energy, grief for spontaneity, grief for the person who could do something without calculating the physical cost, grief for canceled plans, grief for missed opportunities, grief for the days when your mind wants to live fully but your body needs you to stop. There can also be grief because the illness is invisible. When people cannot see what is wrong, they may expect more from you. You may even expect more from yourself. You compare your current capacity to who you used to be. You think, I should be able to do this. I used to do this. Why can't I do this anymore? That comparison can be heartbreaking. I am learning that accepting my current limits does not mean giving up. It means responding honestly to the body I have today. Chronic pain affects mental health. Exhaustion affects mental health. Interrupted sleep affects mental health. Feeling misunderstood affects mental health. The constant need to change plans affects mental health. Fibromyalgia can make the world feel smaller. You may stop making plans because you are afraid you will need to cancel. You may isolate because explaining your symptoms feels exhausting. You may feel guilty for needing support. You may feel angry at your body. You may feel anxious about the next flare. And you may feel grief over everything illness has changed. That does not mean the illness is imaginary or all in your head. It means the mind and body are connected. Living in pain has an emotional impact that deserves care too. Fibromyalgia has often been misunderstood and minimized. Some people have been told their symptoms are only stress, that they need more exercise, that they should lose weight, that their tests look normal, that nothing serious is wrong. But normal test results does not mean a person feels normal. The absence of a simple test does not erase lived experience. When you repeatedly have to prove that you hurt, it can change the way you approach medical care. You may over-explain, you may bring records, you may rehearse what you plan to say, you may worry about becoming emotional because you fear that emotion will be used to dismiss your physical symptoms. No patient should have to be perfectly calm, perfectly organized, and perfectly articulate before they deserve compassion. Fibromyalgia can especially difficult because you may look completely fine. Your hair may be done. You may be wearing makeup. You may be smiling. You may be working. You may post a picture online, and people assume that means you're not struggling. But looking well is not the same as feeling well. Sometimes getting dressed is an act of determination. Sometimes smiling is a moment of genuine joy in the middle of pain. Sometimes creating content gives you purpose even while your body is struggling. A good moment does not cancel the illness. A photograph does not show the entire day. Supporting someone with fibromyalgia begins with belief. Believe them when they say they are tired. Believe them when they say something hurts. Believe them when they need to cancel. Believe them when they say a task is too much today, even if they managed it yesterday. Support can also look practical, helping with meals, driving, picking something up from the store, offering a place to sit, understanding when plans need to be shorter, quieter, or more flexible, not making someone feel guilty for resting. And sometimes support is simply asking, what do you need today? Not what they should need, not what helped someone else, what they need. I want people to understand that fibromyalgia is not ordinary tiredness. It is not simple soreness. It is not laziness. It is not weakness. It is a chronic condition that can affect pain, sleep, energy, cognition, sensitivity, mood, employment, relationships, and daily function. I want people to understand that someone can still experience joy while being sick. We can laugh, love, create, work, dream, and still be in pain. I want people to understand that functioning does not equal being cured. Sometimes we function because life requires it. Sometimes we function because we have learned how to survive inside our symptoms. Sometimes we function and then pay for it afterwards. To the person listening who feels guilty because you need more rest than other people, you are not lazy. To the person who cannot think clearly today, you are not losing your intelligence. To the person whose pain moved again and is difficult to explain, you do not need perfect words for your suffering to be real. To the person who canceled plans, you are not a bad friend. To the person who pushed through work and is now completely depleted, I see how tired you are. To the person still searching for treatment that helps without causing unbearable side effects, you deserve care that considers your whole life, not only one symptom. And to the person who has been told that you look too healthy to be sick, you do not owe anyone visible suffering. Your experience is real, even when they cannot see it. Right now, I am still learning my limits. I am still learning how to separate rest from guilt. I am still learning how to honor my body without feeling as though I am surrendering my life to illness. I am learning that there are days to push gently and days to stop completely. I am learning to ask for help. I am learning to celebrate small victories. I am learning that my worth is not measured by how productive I can be while I am in pain. And I am learning that healing does not always mean being symptom free. Sometimes healing means building a life that includes compassion for the body you have. Fibromyalgia has changed how I move through the world. It has changed how I plan, how I rest, how I work, how I measure energy, and how I understand strength. But it has not taken away my identity. I am not only a patient. I am not only a list of symptoms. I am a mother, a partner, an author, an advocate, a creator, a person with dreams, a person with purpose, a person who is allowed to have difficult days without believing that one difficult day defines my entire life. Fibromyalgia is more than being tired. It is an invisible weight carried through ordinary moments, and everyone carrying that weight deserves compassion. Until next time, please be gentle with yourself. Respect the energy you have today. Protect your spoons without apologizing. Rest without shame. And remember, you are not lazy. You are not weak. Your body is working harder than most people can see. Sometimes strength is not finding more spoons. Sometimes it is accepting the number you have and choosing how to use them without guilt. This is Michelle Baldwin, and this is Radiant Rise. Healing, hope, you.